Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including a Miraculous Ladybug, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by April Collins.
Hello.
And Sarah Dolman.
Hi.
Ladybug, surprised that we are back so soon, but...
What? I thought this was a different podcast.
Yeah, no, surprise. It's the season 3 premiere of Miraculous Ladybug Chameleon, aired this weekend in Spain. The English dub, we're talking the English version of Chameleon. Yes, season 2 just ended. We don't really understand what's happening here, but at the very least, episode 1 of season 3 has aired. We're not really expecting the rest of season 3 to come so soon, so it might be a long wait before, but who knows, maybe it'll show up next week in some country, as the show does. But yeah, we talk about Miraculous Ladybug every week here. It's new here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for Overly Animated Ladybug on iTunes, subscribe there, or on our YouTube. We cross-post all our podcasts to YouTube as well at youtube.com/overlyanimated to not miss any future Ladybug recaps. Make sure you've seen this episode. Spoilers for Chameleon and all previous episodes of Ladybug. If you don't know where to find this, I mean, the Miraculous Ladybug subreddit or Miraculous Subs are the places I generally recommend. Or you caught it on, in Disney Channel in Spain. Yeah. Or probably it's airing in Portugal. Anyway. Okay. So let's get into, Chameleon. April, what did you think of this big season 3 premiere?
So I really enjoyed this episode. It had like goofy moments, which of course, I love, to death, but there was a lot going on, I guess. I don't know, like, Hawkmock was being dramatic, which was great. We got to see an almost akumatized Marinette, which would have been super interesting, and I almost thought we were going to go there, but Lila was there, and I was like, this isn't happening. And then I was like, also, are we going to do Lila for the third time? Because I don't know if I can see her, like, dressed up as Reina Rouge anymore. But, so I'm glad that she was somebody else, at the very least. But it was, like, such a good episode, and Adrian is a prince. First off, like I feel like sometimes I'm like high on Adrian, and then other times I'm just like whatever, but like this one I was just like, wow, Adrian, could you be any more mature? Like, how old are you again? Because I'm confused. So like he was like super nice, and I love that he like politely called Lila out. He was just like, hey, like, I'll be your friend, but could you just not lie to me, because that's wrong? And then even like after she like stormed away, he's like, okay, but let me know if you need help. Like, okay, Adrian. And then he went and sat in the back with Marinette. That was so sweet. I thought the Chameleon Villain was interesting. It's not what I thought was going to be. Like, she kissed people and then turned into them, or I guess she kissed things and then turned into them. So that was kind of odd, and I had no idea what they were gonna do with the t-shirt, and like I guess Chameleon's thoughts like, oh, are you gonna make me wear the t-shirt so we're gonna match? Like, is that what you think's gonna happen? I was like, who knows? Maybe that is the plan. We don't know yet. Like, but all in all, I thought it was a good episode. I kind of missed Chloe, because I feel like Chloe would be like a far better opponent for Lila than Marinette, but Marinette's the lead of the show, and so I respect that decision. And I liked that they tried really hard to make us not like Lila, like really, really hard. I feel like they were forcing it on us almost. But those are my boxed up thoughts.
Okay, that's a lot, yeah.
I have even more.
So you wanted Chloe versus Lila.
I think that would have been super interesting.
I think that is the standoff that we all need. Yeah, we need to see them in action. Yeah, Chloe's good now, right? So we could have had that. That's how that works.
Continue the Chloe redemption arc.
Yeah, even more redeemed in standing next to Lila, right? So that would have been good. Yeah. Okay, Sarah, what did you think of Chameleon?
I thought this episode, it was so ridiculous. Like, partway through, I was just like, what am I even watching? And it's like, oh yes, this is Ladybug. This is great. And I thought it was such a great opening to season 3. We have Lila back, which is so exciting. She's so ridiculous. She's like super devious and over the top. And that was so fun. As much as like they try to get us to hate her, it's like, it's hard to, because she's just like so nuts. Plus, I thought this was like a really great episode, as April said, for Adrian and also Marinette, like both themselves separately and them together, which I'm always super hyped for. Yeah, all around really fun episode. It's totally absurd that Ladybug is back already, but like that's what we get with Ladybug, and I'm not complaining. I'm here for it.
Yes, definitely not complaining. Good stuff. I think most people are hating Lila, so I think for what I've seen in the fandom reaction, I think everyone is very upset with her.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, not me though. I am pronounced number one Lila stan on this podcast, so I was ecstatic to see her here. And this was the Lila comeback that she was in the season 2 finale, but this was the spotlight here was much bigger, and she was fantastic. Yeah, I mean she was despicable throughout this episode, but it was great. I loved it. So I'm not saying that she was likable, but I was loving her being unlikable. And it was a fun episode. I think that if this episode were in the middle of season 2, this would have been great.
Yes.
But as a season 3 premiere, I'm not sure it worked. Honestly, I think it was still fun. But this isn't the season 3 premiere I was looking for. And I'm not even convinced this was supposed to be the season 3 premiere. I want to talk about that a little bit.
They gave us the second episode.
No, let's get into this quickly. I mean, so generally my thoughts are it was fun, but I was looking for something bigger. Those are the short version of my thoughts.
Especially coming out of like the season finale of season 2, like it was so big, and I thought we were going to continue to sort of ride on that. But we kind of didn't. And I even like had a moment like I wrote it in my notes. I was like, is this episode like out of place? Mm-hmm. Because it feels like it should have been like much sooner.
Let's talk about that because I'm confused. There's only one reference to the season 2 finale at all, and that's Lila's back from the Kowar Kingdom, which they called Achu. So I think that's supposed to be the same thing. That's literally it. There's no reference to the fact that she was akumatized in that episode. In fact, the way Hawkmoth talks to her, it sounds like he hasn't seen her since season 1, right? He says, I remember you. Yeah, it was last episode. Of course you remember her. What are you talking about?
That was like 2 days ago. What's wrong with you? See, that was the part that like got me too, because I was like, wait, you know who Lila is? Like, don't act like you haven't akumatized her at least like 3 or 4 times, because you have, like, in the last 2 days or whatever, a week, or whatever it is. But like that, I think that part like lost it for me, and which is why I was like, this should have taken place like in season 2 somewhere.
Then there's another line. Hawkmoth at the end says, Lila will serve my purposes in the end, one way or another. Yep. That to me sounds like he's hinting at what happened at the end of season 2. Like does he really have grand plans for Lila this season, or was it like Lila was part of his finale plans? So that made it seem like it was referring to that episode. So every single Lila interaction, with the exception of her coming back into class, and Miss Boosty is like, she's back from the Kowar Kingdom. So that like is in reference to her video chatting when she was supposed to be there. Those two things to me contradict each other. My theory is that this episode was originally supposed to be in season 2. There was a point when Heroes Day, when Thomas was referring to it as a season 3 episode, like the finale we got at the end of season 2. I think Heroes Day got pushed up to be the finale of season 2. And so we're going to have some episodes here which were supposed to take place between like season 2 and Heroes Day. And so like, I think this was supposed to be before Heroes Day. They maybe added in the beginning, or like they tweaked it, or I don't know, but
I feel like this episode would have been like a good, it almost would have been like I would have been content with it being a season 2 finale episode. And then the opening of season 3 would have been Heroes Day. Like that placement would have been almost perfect.
Yeah, I could have seen that being what they intended. And the other thing that makes that presumably this means this is a season 3 episode. If Lila's a permanent member of the cast now, then of course this is supposed to be in quotes where it is, because like this reintroduces her to the class if we see her consistently in the class now in season 3. So like there's things that contradict each other. Like they prepped it enough for season 3 that it like I haven't heard this talk anywhere else yet. Like is this supposed to be a season 2 episode? So I think that there's some sort of maneuvering, altering in what we saw. I don't know, Sarah, what did you have any of these thoughts when you were watching it?
I don't know. I think when I watched it the first time, it kind of confused me, like what Hawkmoth was saying at the beginning about like, and then like it's like you were just working together. Like, what is going on? Yeah. But then the second time I watched it, I just didn't really care. I was just like, this is Ladybug. It's fun. I don't really care.
Yeah. I think that's the attitude you have to have because we're going to get some more of this type of thing.
Well, and it's so hard to tell too because we don't get episodes in order. Oh, like ever whenever they air, or at least with season 2, like we got everything so out of order that like I'm really curious whenever like it does release on the second half releases on Netflix so that I can be like, oh, this is the order that it was supposed to come out in.
Supposed to.
In theory.
We'll see. We'll see if Netflix is the airing. I don't know how they do that. But season 1 was very out of order, and then season 2 was also out of order. Not as much, but like Frozer, we got late. That was supposed to be in the middle of the season. Like you can look at the production numbers on that. So like I do think this episode is going to end up with a 301 production number, but it feels tweaked. Like it feels like it was originally supposed to be in season 2, and then they slightly altered it to make it work as the premiere.
Like they added in things. They were just like, oh yeah, we'll just add in the teacher saying she's back from her trip to a chew.
Right. If you take out that line, I think it actually feels completely like a season 2 episode, with the exception of Lila being back at the end. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. Let's see how season 3 plays the rest of the episodes. I would warn that we might have a period of like 5 or episodes where we don't reference the finale of season 2 at all, which is going to be frustrating. Like that's the big thing for me. This is not a good follow-up to the end of last season. There's no consequence of anything with Mayura. It doesn't feel remotely as big. So like if you want to look at it in that regard, I think it's going to be disappointing. But yeah, like Sarah said, just look at it as an episode of Ladybug, and I do think it's a lot of fun.
Well, yeah. I also think it, like the one thing that I thought did continue on from the finale of season 3 was Adrian and Marinette. Which, like, he probably is like after that, time that they talk at that really great scene at the end of the finale. I think that since then that has progressed potentially, which we can talk about later, like how he feels about her. And so we have those great moments in this episode that show like that progression of their relationship. And I think that to me followed pretty smoothly from the finale. And it may have not made as much sense if it happened before.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in terms of long-term consequences, other than Lila being back, the biggest one is this look Adrian gives to Marinette in the classroom.
He gives her several looks.
Several looks. Ooh. But yeah, in terms of like, to me, this is like the most romantically Adrian's ever looked at Marinette, is like when he goes to sit next to her at the end, like she's like looking off to the side, and then he like looks up at her. That I agree. That does feel like it feels natural following the kiss on the cheek at the end of the finale. And I think there's nothing directly tying it to that, so it easily could have been beforehand. But at the very least, this is like in line with the building romantic view of Marinette that we've been presented as Adrian having in the show.
But we also like have like those moments where they sort of confide in each other too. Like whenever they're sharing the moment on the stairs, and he's like, I mean, we both know that she's a liar. Then that's, at least that's good enough for us kind of situation. And then like him sort of referencing back to that, like just them sort of confiding more in each other. I think that's also another good like showcase of like the progression from season 2 into this episode as well, to go along with what Sarah said.
Yeah, the fact that they can like talk normally and debrief on things and confide in each other, yeah, it feels really great. I view it more as like zones, and I think this is probably how the show is being written. This is in the territory of growing romantic feelings for Adrian, so like they're all kind of presented in a box, and it doesn't really matter what order they're in. But this is like in the same vein as the end of season 2, so we'll probably get more moments like this. This is definitely something that's gonna frustrate me as we go along here, because if we're not gonna get literal continuity, but just these kind of zones of progression, because then everything's kind of the same until you hit a turning point. And I thought the season 2 finale was a turning point, and at the very least, we're not post yet. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see how season 3 plays out in like March when we get the second episode. But, it's
hard to make a judgment call with just one episode.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
So we'll see.
Especially given the way that Ladybug I guess, has been, like, where, you know, the entire first season we didn't get any type of progression, and then in season 2 we saw so much. And so it's just kind of one of those things where, like, you have to take what's given to you until you have more sort of information to reach a conclusion, kind of thing, because the show does move at a snail's pace. And so it's kind of hard to be like, okay, are we actually progressing with this, or are we just like kind of hinting at what the fans want kind of situation? Because the show, you know, all of the creators and writers and everything, like, they know their fans, so they're like, hey, let's kind of throw them a bone here or there situation. So is it one of those, or are we actually seeing like more happening for Adrian?
Yeah. And at the very least, we speculated at the end of last season, what's the structure of season 3 going to be? Is Mira going to be like alongside Hawkmoth? Is she going to supplant Hawkmoth? Is there going to be like a different format for the show? Like, it's not just Hawkmoth akumatizing someone. We absolutely got none of that here. So, like, at the very least, that none of that has happened yet. We'll see if it does happen, but you know, this is, I think, not, if you listen back to the end of season, not necessarily what we were expecting to get right away in season 3. But let's now, all of that being said, let's focus in on this just as an episode. Because I think, no episode of Ladybug is like so big that it's like, oh wow, this, like, end of last season also, but it was like, it's like these, overall still kind of like a small progression in the mythology, but, Chameleon's still big. I would say this is kind of a sequel to the season 1 finale is how I'd characterize this. I mean, we referenced that episode several times. We flashed back to it multiple times. It's a little bit weird getting that, here, but, big Lila, comeback episode, and she was back with an authority lying all over the place and getting welcoming the Akuma.
She like snatches it out of the air. She's like, "You're mine!" Like, she was so excited too.
She says, "Hawkmoth, I am Lila." The
you
opposite.
Should already know who you are.
The opposite. Well, yeah, it's the opposite of the way Hawkmoth introduces himself. Like, she's taking control of that situation and introducing herself to Hawkmoth. Very striking difference there. And then gets new powers. According to the wiki, akumatized for the 4th time, the new record. So it's great. Yeah, April, what was your, walk me through how you viewed Lila throughout this episode here. Was it sympathetically? Was it with glee seeing her again?
I was excited to see her again for the purpose of, I guess, like, replacing Chloe in that, like, Marinette's, like, real life, I say real life, like, personal life sort of opposition, because that was always Chloe, but I feel like her feelings, at least after season 2, her feelings towards Chloe are different. We also don't get to Chloe too much, it seems. Like, Chloe always ends up being, like, one of those, like, background characters, and then we have a Chloe episode. So it's nice for Marinette to have that, like, opposition again, and so I was excited in regards to that, but, like, I could not stand her, like, pathologically lying all over the place. But, like, it made me even more frustrated was that Marinette was, like, so gung-ho, like, I'm gonna prove her wrong. And I was like, Marinette, just let it go. Like, can you stop? Because it's, like, one of those, like, Marinette moments that, like, so we don't enjoy, or at least I didn't enjoy, just because it was just like, come on, Marinette, like, you're so much better than this. Like, I understand, like, it's affecting you, but can you not let it affect you? Like, that was season 1. We've moved on since then. So I think in that regards, like, I was really frustrated, but I like the kind of sort of chemistry between Lila and Marinette, like, especially, like, in that bathroom scene, like, that whole confrontation was really, like, yes. I was like, can I ship this? Am I allowed to ship this? Like, but also I enjoy, like, the very, like, high school drama aspect of it too, because I was just like, oh my gosh, these people are totally in high school. Like, they're so upset about seating arrangements in class. Like, normally students don't even control that. So, but I don't know, like, I don't remember Lila's character looking so evil, and she just looks so menacing. Like,
yeah, when she flips into showing her evil side, definitely looks so menacing. I could not stand the seating arrangement stuff. This was the rest of the episode was much more engaging than them. At the end, when they all changed seats back, we didn't need to see that. That's like, whatever.
No, Dylan, we needed that.
It is actually kind of important in the context of the show, because where they sit has been constant for forever. But yeah,
and now now Marinette and Alia are in the front seat. Like basically nothing has changed except Alia and Marinette's, and then Nino's and Adrian's seats.
Oh, did they flip? I didn't even notice.
Yes.
Wow, that's very important. Okay. Yeah, okay, so in terms of Lila and Marinette's that charged bathroom scene, they get very, very close to each other when they're in each other's faces, and then Lila like pins Marinette to the wall. Could read that as romantically charged.
You're either with me or you're against me, Dylan.
Yeah, wow. Sarah, were you seeing any of that in that scene? And what did you think in general of Lila and Marinette throughout the episode?
Okay, well, first off, with Lila and Marinette in the bathroom, was like, oh my god, their faces are so close. I'm dying. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, definitely you could see it. And then Lila, of course, part of me wants to, hate her. And I think what, bothers me is not so much, her lying, which is it's just so, over the top, like I said before. It's just, not even sensical. And yet everybody believes it anyway, except for Adrian, of course. But what I didn't really like was that, the whole class, at the end of the finale, everybody was like, yay, Marinette, we love you. And now the whole class is, totally taking Lila's side and just being like, Marinette, what are you doing? Which is, yeah, sure, maybe she needs to be called out for, being kind of reacting the way she is. But I don't know if now would be a good time for me to talk about how I felt about Marinette in this episode and her reaction to Lila.
So I think that something throughout the series Marinette as a person has had trouble with is dealing with people like Lila and Chloe. Dealing with these people who are just obviously acting terribly, and she just maybe stoops to their level versus being able to handle it and just brush it off. So I think this was another episode in that character aspect to Marinette.
Definitely. I think the thing about Marinette, and I was trying to think through, why is she so worked up over Lila? And I think, for one thing, Marinette is a lot like me in that she basically has zero chill, all the time, and she, almost always needs something to be really worked up about. She, either it's her obsessing over Adrian or over Chloe and now Lila. And she just kind of needs, I don't know, she just needs that something that she's really worked up and obsessing over. But I do think that, she's getting a lot better. She was able, multiple times in this episode to cool herself down. I don't think, she was able to brush off the Akuma when it came. She even, the Akuma left her and she didn't even know it was coming. And then, at the end, too. It's just, she's a teenage girl. It's hard when you're a teenager who has, a lot of big feelings to be able to deal with them in the most effective way. And so that's why I'm not really judging her for it. And I really do think that she's getting better. Plus, she has the support of, her friends like Alia and Nino, who are just kind of okay, let's talk this through. What evidence do you have that she's lying? And now Adrian, too, who's sort of, trying to sort of give her a different perspective. And she's listening to that. She's not no, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do what I want anyway. She's getting brought back down to earth, and she's willing to do that. I also have another reason why I think that she's so worked up over Lila.
Okay.
And
I want to know.
I've talked a lot already, but I think she specifically has this big issue with lying, which we've seen before. And it came to me that this could be some kind of reflection of her own insecurities that she has about herself, because she's leading this double life and having to keep secrets all the time from all the people that are close to her. We see this multiple times in the episode where she can't tell Alia and Nino that she's Ladybug, and that's why she knows. Or she has to escape out of the bathroom so that Adrian doesn't see her as Ladybug. And, it's something that she has to be constantly thinking about. And so Lila, And I think that's weighing on her. And so like Lila lying might like maybe not consciously, it's like triggering that in her. And so, you know, as I said before, because she has all these like big feelings and she doesn't really know necessarily how to channel them effectively, it translates to her being really angry and wanting to act out in ways that she otherwise wouldn't. And, you know, she knows that she could do better. And I think she is going to do better. And that is sort of what I had to say about that.
No, yeah, I think that's great analysis. That second one, I definitely agree. That's intended by the episode. This parallel between Lila lying and Marinette like being unable to admit that she's also hiding things. Yeah. I think that there's one point, I don't remember the exact scene, but where that stood out to me specifically when Marinette's like, stop being two-faced or something, and like it like directly parallels her second life as Ladybug, and I agree that's like a big subtext of this episode. And in terms of the first one, I hadn't thought of that. I love that analysis that Marinette like just gets worked up over things constantly. She's like big emotions, whether about anything in her life. And, so maybe that's why she just reacts so strongly to Lila and Chloe, is she reacts strongly to everything. So, I think that kind of makes sense. And I love how that ties in. That was the second thing I wanted to ask, was about, a big Marinette aspect of this episode is fighting off the Akuma. And that ties directly into that, where, it's about being able to control her big reaction to things. And I guess at her core, Marinette is presentation of teenage girl. And, so it's like big emotions, controlling emotions is a big part of being a teenager. So I think that's like at the core where the show is coming from with this aspect of her character. We get the direct presentation of that in like being able to chill out and fight off the Akuma. It ties very much back into Zombie Zoo. The first time she, was almost akumatized. I think that's interesting. You know, maybe there's a specific nerve that Lila's hitting. Maybe it does relate to, cause she feels guilty about seeing something in herself and hiding things from her friends. And it also just, triggers, this type of emotional reaction that she has from everything. I mean, just, the fighting off the Akuma thing, I think these were, such big moments for her character. Her in the bathroom stall, she like stands up on it. I'm proud. I'm confident. I'm Marinette.
She's a queen of positive affirmation.
I'm Marinette. Yay. Yeah, you are. Okay. So
yeah, you go, girl. I'm proud of her.
Can you imagine someone hearing that like from the outside?
I know. I thought of that. It was like someone just gonna hear her.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the parallel feelings for Adrian, anti-feelings for, and you know, maybe, and it's all about like learning to control and, direct these type of emotions, I guess, like not freaking out so much over Adrian. That's the solution to actually like making headway with him, and, not being so anti, Lila and Chloe. And maybe as she resolves some of her identity issues as Ladybug and she comes to terms more with, that's a particularly interesting thing, because I don't think the show has hit on that too much recently. The, like, Marinette having some sort of identity crisis as, not being able to tell the people she's closest with in her life that she has the second life. Like, maybe she feels guilty when she's talking to Alia about it. Like she's talking to Alia and Nino and she can't tell them that she's Ladybug. Yeah. So is that going to be a recurring theme here? And might that lead to her asking Master Fu whether she can like reveal her identity to some people? You know, like maybe that's
to like
an impetus.
One person or something.
Yeah. Like she should tell Alia. She needs that support in her life, and she doesn't. And she doesn't have that.
She'll tell Adrian.
Yeah, those are those.
I think also, like, just sort of back on the whole, like, learning how to sort of control her feelings, it really is kind of the overall theme of this show, where Hawkmoth is preying on people's feelings and people are unable to control them. And I think Marinette's going through this sort of journey of learning how to sort of control how, like, her reactions to things is kind of really core to what the show is about.
Yeah, that's true. Basic concept of the show. They doubled down on it by taking the new power. Also do that with negative emotions into an illusion with Mayra.
Yeah.
So it's like that tells me that that's a theme that's not going away, as well. It's interesting because I'm not comfortable with the idea that feelings are bad and the expression of feelings is bad. And like, a lot of male, talk about like a young women is like, oh, they're so emotional and stuff like that. And I actually don't think that's what the show has presented itself, though. I think the show's done a good job in not approaching those types of messaging. I think it's been more in line of like, channel your emotions in a healthy way, like still express them, but
like it's okay to have feelings, but like you can't just always like express them through anger. And I think that's where a lot of the, I guess like being a teenager, and a lot of that comes from because you're sort of like grasping new like feelings and emotions and things like that, and so you like revert back to anger because that's like the easiest emotion to sort of process everything through. And that's even the same, like, this is getting really deep, but that's even like the same with like babies. Whenever like they start to like feel things and do everything like that, they cry because that's what they know how to do. And so in the same sense, it's like, okay, like you're upset about this, but you're not really angry, but you know anger, so you're gonna go back to being angry. And then that's where like Hawkmoth, because he even like, I guess like he doesn't necessarily like outright say it, but he's just like, yes, like I feel these negative emotions. And so he knows that most of the time it comes back to being like, I'm angry, I'm gonna Hulk out and rage. And that's easiest for him to sort of prey upon, is because he's like, okay, like let me like turn that angry person into like I guess like a source of my like trying to accomplish my goals or kind of situation. So I think that's like another thing too, but also it's unrealistic too, like in terms of Marinette, because like no teenage girl has like that strong of a grasp on her emotions. Like I don't think any person really does, especially at that age. And so I think it's kind of also nice that they're kind of like look at these teenagers, like look at them sort of properly dealing with their feelings. And even though we kind of don't, but like they're properly dealing with like these negative emotions. And so it's kind of like a nice message in that sense to people, like, hey, like you don't have to be angry, you can still be upset and that's okay, but don't like go to the Eiffel Tower and try to destroy it and steal earrings.
I think it's okay to be angry. I think it also it takes reflecting on, like, you know, is your anger like justified? And in some cases it might be, and in some cases it's not. And then from there, deciding like, how am I going to react to it? Like, am I going to react in a way that's going to be like beneficial, or is it going to be destructive? And that's kind of what you need to sort of learn as you learn how to process your big feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what this discussion I get is like making me think of is that if Hawkmoth and his powers represent preying upon people's emotions, then I think the way to defeat Hawkmoth has to be like some form of emotional maturity and like Marinette growing, and then that's how she's able to defeat Hawkmoth. I feel like so maybe it makes sense that he's still the villain. We're not there yet with we still have this character arc to go with Marinette, and then at some point this will be a representation of her, of the growth she's had, and that's how she's defeating Hawkmoth. I feel like that sounds like something the show might do. So we'll see. We'll see if we do that type of thing. Let's get back to, there's a great discussion. Let's get back to Lila and Marinette too, because we have this interesting arc through them throughout the episode, and it ends with them declaring war on each other. Lila declaring war on Marinette, and then Marinette's reaction, I think, ties back into what we were talking about. Instead of freaking out on her like Lila's upset at her, she says, we'll see about that, Lila. You know, very, very calmly, measured response, although also taunting as well, I think. April, what did you think of that last scene of the episode?
I thought that was great. I think that last scene is the culmination of like Marinette sort of just accepting the fact that like she's like, she can't really do anything about Lila. And I think that's also something that like we might see like Marinette come to terms with as the show continues on, is that she can't always like fix every situation. Like she can't fix Lila. She can't make her not lie. And it goes back to like the conversation that she had with Adrian, where he's just like, hey, at least like you know the truth, and that's what matters. And so I think it's like one of those things too, where she's just like, hey, like, you know what, like I can't like make Lila, you know, stop lying, and I also can't, you know, make her not my enemy. So I can only control how I react to that. And it's just better for me to just be like, all right, well, like, we'll see, Lila. Like, if that's how you want things to go down. And I thought that was like very like mature of her. And like, I was like, oh, Marinette, look at how much you've grown in this one episode. I'm so proud of you.
That's good. Yeah. Sarah, did you see that as a mature response from Marinette at the end?
Definitely. I totally agree with everything April said. I think, you know, she, especially, you know, she, after, you know, talking to Adrian and sort of taking time to sort of process how she felt, she was able to sort of react in the way that it felt best for her, rather than sort of impulsively reacting in an angry kind of way. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing sort of how this plays out. I'm hoping, I guess I was hoping that, this would be something that would sort of continue on through the season, but then I remembered this is Ladybug and we don't really know about that. So, but I'm looking forward to seeing how the sort of conflict between them plays out, and what's going to happen and how they're both going to grow through it. Cause I think that'll happen.
Nice. Yeah. Regardless of our doubts about the placement of this episode, the episode deliberately paints Lila as being back in the class now. We saw specifically she was fake gone, but still there, and now she's oh, I'm returned from that, and I'm back. So I do think she'll be a part of season 3 throughout. Although I'm not as confident we'll see her in the next few episodes, but
I kind of hope we don't.
I mean, I think the best way to have a long-term arc with Lila, because she's just so over the top, is to just have more subtle moments with her in other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just need to have these big episodes, the end of season 1, the end of season 2, the beginning of season 3. We can just have her in the background, like we have with some other characters. Show her interacting with other classmates. Maybe, it's not like she's learned it all, so we're probably gonna have to have some sort of impetus for her to stop lying, I guess. And it doesn't seem like she's despite promising Ladybug that she'll stop lying, it is clearly that she's not learned from anything yet. So we'll see how this is handled throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, what I really want to know is why Lila feels so compelled to lie. Is there some kind of reason behind why she's acting the way she is? I'm hoping to get to that.
Yeah, it'd be good. We saw a minimal amount of that in the finale of season 2, where we kind of she comes across very immature and just hasn't had it's harder. She's more menacing here, and you see that she's just staying at home the entire time and lying to her mom, and if you feel for her more, I feel in the end of season 2 when she's in not as much of a power situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, learning more about what's caused this impetus with her, but yeah, I don't know. Another interesting presentation with this character again, and we didn't. Marinette grew a lot. Lila didn't necessarily grow, so we'll see what happens with her. Let's go through the episode, hit on some other moments that we haven't talked about yet. Although I think we've hit on the major things, and we begin the episode with a very important scene of Marinette running to class with a croissant in her mouth. This is a blatant reference to the stereotypical anime girl running to school with toast in her mouth when she's late for school. And since it's France, it's a croissant instead of toast.
And also her parents own a bakery.
And also they own a bakery, yeah. And this is the stupidest thing. I believe this show done this before, because this is the first time I noticed it, but this is absolutely what Thomas and crew would do. They would show her with the I am not surprised, but it's very stupid. Then the seats are rearranged. We get another Adrian fantasy sequence in her head
with the hamster.
With the hamster, yeah. I was rewatching the first episode of season 1 with a friend recently, and there's the hamster in that. I didn't realize this was such a long running gag where where the hamster has been since the first episode of the show. But yeah, this is the 5th or more hamster thing, and we never learn its name, right? It always cuts off before that. So what is the
yes.
what's the name?
It's gonna be a big reveal.
Huge reveal.
We'll see. Yeah, that's how you know that they're really together, is when we learn the hamster's name. Yeah, Lila's back, and she has a hearing issue. She has to sit in the front. Yeah, that whole thing.
Whole thing.
So, I think for the most part we have a very important Hawkmoth here, right? Us.
Oh my gosh.
Our Hawkmoth analysis. It's a very important character. We love Hawkmoth.
He was so dramatic.
I think this one speech in particular stood out to me in the beginning of the episode. Other than that, he really let Lila take the lead here. But this one speech really got to me. He says, high school, the arena of teenage angst where emotions are so intense. A perfect stadium for my Akumas. By the way, I stop right there. There's more to go, but English Hawkmoth is underappreciated because He's really, some of the English voices aren't as good as, the English Hawkmoth is just as good as French Hawkmoth. The way he says, Akumas, it's like, it's so stupid.
He emphasizes the S on the end.
I don't know why, but it's fantastic. Being separated from your friends, becoming isolated, just what devastating anger is made of. Fly away and evilize this angry high school girl. So yeah, I thought that was an all-time speech from Hawkmoth in the beginning of this episode.
It was so beautiful.
April, were you crying at Hawkmoth's passionate speech?
I was very motivated by it.
What were you motivated to do?
Fly away and evilize angry high school girls. Who's he giving these speeches for? The Akumas? Was Mayara hanging out in the corner?
Nope,
we just didn't see her. And he's like, Mayara, are you ready for a lesson on being a villain? He's like, you've got to give a speech. Hold on, I've got a great one.
She really does need to learn the speeches. That's a very vital part of being Hawkmoth.
Do you think that's part of what Gabriel does? Is he just sits there and he types out speeches?
Yes, Cliff, he has to practice them. Yeah.
I mean, in addition to all of the puns that he prepares, he's also writing his speeches, including the puns.
Yeah. With puns sometimes. Yes, no.
Which word should we emphasize? Akumas. And
he's like, how can I emphasize Akumas this week?
Arena of teenage angst. I mean, that's just so poetic, right? Wow. Yeah. You're swooning over Hawkmoth? Is that what's happening?
I'm swooning over this speech, okay? It was very powerful.
Okay, we were just motivated by it. Yeah, we're gonna go out and akumatize some people now. Okay.
Got it. Done. Ready?
Yeah. This angry high school girl. So but going after Marinette. Very exciting. To be honest,
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Because this brought up some, I guess, I don't know if it's continuity issues with his powers, but it seems like sometimes he knows who he's akumatizing and then sometimes he doesn't. Because I had a moment where I was like, you know who Marinette is. Don't act like you don't know her name. Because
he should know, yeah. Well, she won the contest, yeah.
Because what is it? Because there's been a Chloe akumatization where he knew it was Chloe. And so, even though he was, up in his tower and he was like, yes, Chloe, I'm coming for you and your negative emotions. But, this time I was like, you know who Marinette is. Just call her Marinette. Just be like, yes, Marinette, I've never akumatized you before. I'm coming. But, I didn't kind of get that. I almost really wanted it. I wanted him to be like, ooh, Marinette, separated from your friends.
That would have been big, yeah. I think the implication for me was that Marinette's just not an important person to him, so he's like, whatever, this girl. I know she is, but whatever.
One girl from Adrian's class.
Chloe's important. It's a family friend daughter. Marinette's. He knows Marinette, but it's okay. It's just an angry ass girl. Also, when he's a Hawkmoth, I think he thinks of himself differently too.
He's a different person. He's I don't know who Adrian's friends are. Who is Adrian?
Yeah, who cares about that? Yeah. Yeah, so it was interesting. I think in general, the prospect of Marinette being akumatized for me was more interesting than what we got from the episode. Which was
really almost thought that's what we were gonna do with this episode, and if we had done it, that would have been an amazing first episode of the season.
Well, people have been speculating about Marinette getting akumatized for a long time. People thought she would be Mayura. Will we get at this? Every big moment, people are going to be talking about that because it's just so blatant that she has not been. The second attempt was made, again, failed here. Going after Marinette. Hopefully more of that to go. Maybe he's keeping track. It's this didn't work. Okay, let's try again. Maybe he.
He's I'm 0 for 2, but I'm coming for you, Marinette.
Yeah. He's okay, 4 for 4 on Lila. You check. Don't need to do that again.
He purposely creates social situations that force Lila and Marinette in the same room, so that
he's gonna call the school. Say, he's gonna call an assembly.
He's gonna. No, this will be the gray. He'll be like, Adrian, I think you should have a party. Invite Lila and Marinette.
Adrian's so confused. What? Are you telling me to have here's a guest list of people to invite.
Lila, Marinette, whoever else.
And then
I don't care.
And he has binoculars and looking in at the party the whole time.
He's spying up on the staircase.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the next episode. Yeah. That would be a fun arc, though, if he was Gabriel trying to akumatize Marinette without really knowing it's her. It's like,
That'd be so good.
Okay, we figured out season 3. Okay, let's continue. With this whole thing of, we talked about Marinette telling all you need to know about Lila and that they're lying. Then Marinette, like, throws the napkin at Lila, you know.
That was also very ridiculous, because Lila's like, what is it? Someone in India, like, she watched them get their eye gouged out by
that was graphic for Ladybug.
First off, it was graphic, but then my favorite part is Max wears glasses. So
yeah, it was even dumber. It was pretty good. Then Lila and Marinette in the bathroom. Lila's like trying to be nice to her at first, and then she like turns on a dime. She's like, I only tell people what they want to hear. It's called lying. And then they pins her to the wall. You're either with me or against me. Yeah, it was charged, man.
Yeah.
It was great. That was a good scene. Then in the stall, Marinette, here's some stunning dialogue from Marinette. I thought Chloe was evil, but Lila really takes the whole cake. She's like a supervillain that doesn't even need a costume. I really hope that's better in French, but that was just horrible. I mean, it was the dub, so I'm not going to judge.
Like the Super Marinette scene?
No, Super Marinette was great. This is just bad. This is just bad. She's like a supervillain that doesn't even need the costume. Okay, shut up with that. We've heard this before.
She's a chameleon, and she doesn't have like necessarily like a costume. So that's like foreshadowing almost.
It's deep. Yeah, I'm not criticizing Marinette. I'm criticizing the writing here. Okay.
You're like, I don't like the line.
I don't like the line.
Bye.
Yeah. I'll check what it was in French when this airs on Tfu in April. Okay, so we'll get it then. That's probably optimistic. The Marinette's fighting off the Akuma in the stall. Yeah, I'm proud. I'm confident Marinette. We got that. Yeah, this scene, we talked about this a while ago. Adrian tells Lila not to lie to him like last time with Ladybug. He's very calm about it, very measured. This is very like Adrian, I think, response to this. But
he's such a perfect prince.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the same time, the discourse that you'd get in response to that from Adrian Stans is that he is he's emotionally repressing himself here. This is still a version of Adrian that's not fully what he would be if he was able to merge his identities. So like maybe he should be a little bit more assertive with Lila. Maybe he's only measured because that's the politeness he's been taught and the reservedness by the life that he lives. Typical things, I think, with Adrian, but I do think he handles it very well and maturely, and it's very sympathetic. And it's also just nice to see him like sticking up for Ladybug in the memory of the season 1
just
episode.
Him like sort of standing up to like anyone who's I guess being like taking advantage of her classmates, because like we kind of see that like he had those moments with Chloe too where he was just like, hey, like you should be nicer, like why aren't you nicer, kind of thing. And so it's almost like it's the same thing but with a different character. Like we don't really necessarily need it with Chloe anymore, but like with Lila it's kind of like, because Lila is like clinging to Adrian, though I guess I don't understand why anymore, because she's like, I don't even care, and it's like, okay, then what is the point? I don't understand. Like, are you purposely doing it just to make people like, because you know it makes Marinette upset that you are like, I'm gonna cling to Adrian as well, just like Chloe.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because at the end of the episode, Lila says, I'll turn all your friends against you. I'm gonna get Adrian, and you'll be finished. Like, so she specifically taunts Marinette about Adrian. But then in the bathroom scene, with the pinning in the wall before that, she's like, it's about Adrian. That's okay. I'll help you be with Adrian. You know. So to me, it's apparent that Lila doesn't really have feelings for Adrian. It's just that it's more of like a thing that like
it's like a vehicle for her to drive Marinette insane.
Yeah.
No. My take. No, she has feelings for Marinette, and she's acting out because she's in love with her.
Well, that would make more sense. I think that makes more sense.
Have you can't have anyone else.
Wow, that's true. I didn't think of it like that. No, I think it makes more sense that she like Marinette than she likes Adrian. I don't think that's like she's flirting with Adrian, but there's no feeling behind it.
It's to make Marinette jealous, obviously.
If the show actually did that arc, it would be the best. That
would be so
that would
powerful.
be the best season. Yeah. This is the Chloe Marinette arc we always wanted.
Abandon all other ships for that one.
Wow, so quick jumping up to Adrian and Marinette just for
That's not
Lila.
true. You guys know I sail aboard many ships.
I mean, there's 4 separate ones, and then we'll get Lila in there, and will Lila be a hero at some point?
Ooh.
Yes, right, because everyone's going to be a hero, because there's 100 Miraculouses, so yes.
There's 400 Miraculouses and like 20 people in Paris, so yeah.
This is true. There's definitely more Miraculouses than people in Paris, according to this show. We just got to get to, we're going to have to, okay, we're done with the class. Next, we're moving on to the 4 repeating background model characters that we see all the time.
The Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower, you can get a Miraculous, yeah. The one with the orange hair, like, give her like 5 different Miraculous, because she's supposed to be 5 different people, like, that's fine. That one baby we always see, like, you can have 10 Miraculouses.
The imaginary hamster in Marinette's fantasy.
The hamster, yeah. Buy a hamster from a pet shop. Okay, we figure out what your name is. You get a Miraculous. You get a hamster
That's
Miraculous.
the big reveal.
The seafood bar lady with the oysters.
Yeah, so yeah, this is exactly. Everyone who works on the Eiffel Tower, which is like all of Paris, is according to the show.
The mayor lamp as well.
The lamp, he gets some Miraculous. I need
Space
to see Mayor
dumpsters.
Space dumpsters. Oh, don't even get me started on space. I miss the Mayor lamp. He was my favorite. I want him back.
That was great.
I was a broadcaster for a new mayor. We're still not over that.
Mayor lamp.
Okay. Anyway, I don't remember where we were. Okay, here's Lila. Lila's grabbing. Yeah, they're grabbing the Miraculous. Puts it onto her earring. So the thing at the end, the Akuma's in the pearl, which is in the oyster, and then her earring, I guess, is like has a pearl on it. So I guess that's clever. Yeah. I don't know. I
didn't really get it.
I didn't get it either.
Like
I
she's
was
a
just
pearl earring, and then the pearl ends up in the oyster. Yeah, I think that was my interpretation of what they're going for, but it didn't have any effect. It didn't mean anything. Hawkmoth, I am Lila. I know you want to destroy Ladybug as much as I do. Yes, I remember you. Oh, okay.
No, you don't, apparently.
We talked about that already. Okay, so she's Chameleon. She kisses people, they go to sleep, and then she takes their form. This seems pretty similar to a few villains we've gotten before, but were you digging Chameleon, April?
Kind of. Like, I think it would have been more interesting if she didn't have to kiss them. Like, if she could have just touched them. And that's kind of what I thought at first. And then I was like, oh, she specifically has to kiss them. Which I guess kind of ties into the, like, oh, they're French and they do the, like, on each cheek kind of thing. And so that kind of made sense. But I think that was the only part that sort of, like, fell short for me. Was that, like, she had to kiss them. But I liked that it worked out that they went to sleep immediately, and also that she immediately took their form. So you kind of have to be very purposeful with that power, like.
Yeah. It feels very similar to Dark Cupid, I think, in a lot of ways with the kissing, and you got the fake cat too at the end. Yeah. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings about Chameleon. Like, it wasn't like a super exciting, innovative villain form, but I thought it was kind of entertaining anyway. Like, I thought it was very funny, like Lila talking as Adrian, and like it
takes Dino's hat,
really ridiculous things. Yeah, maybe Dino's hat, and like jumping around the Eiffel Tower. Like, that was the point where I was just like, "What is this show? It's so ridiculous." And then like she would say things like, "As soon as someone needs saying, that stupid Ladybug shows up," and I was just like, just the way that she talks, but like as Adrian. I also really liked Lila's like voice actor, like her English voice actor in this episode. I feel like it's like slightly tangential, but I really thought that it was great. There was like one line she was like, "Whoops, I lied," and just the way that the inflection of her saying that was perfect. But anyway, back to Chameleon. It was all right. It kind of like served the purpose for the episode, but it wasn't like a standout villain.
Yeah, it's not really what we think of. I think it was really fun seeing her as Adrian. I think Adrian's English voice actor did a great job with with the different form. We'll see. I want to see how that plays in French too. That'll be fun. Yeah, she first takes on Adrian, and then we have a fight with Lila as Adrian versus Ladybug, trying to kiss Ladybug. Takes Nino's hat, very important. He's like popping the balloons with the cat and Ladybug faces on them.
No, she only specifically popped the Ladybug one.
Okay, just the Ladybug balloons.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important, yeah. We have this interlude with, okay, we need to spend like 20 minutes on this chicken. This interlude with Plog trying to wake Adrian up with a kiss.
Yep, that was a thing.
Okay, moving on. But he wakes up before Plog gets the chance. Yeah, so sad. Plog just wants to kiss his owner. Like,
show him love and affection.
Yeah, be more. Plog needs to be more open with his emotions.
Yes.
Where's the Plog parallel to what we're doing with Marinette?
We need a big Plog storyline.
Yeah,
Plog discovering his feelings.
Yeah, okay, that's the next episode. Cat, then like she's in like this random child, and Cat takes the bullet for Ladybug, and then Lila turns into Cat, and then we get Ladybug versus Cat. This was like very much reminiscent of Dark Cupid for me. This fighting, and that's the thing with this episode. It feels like the season 1 finale sequel, and it feels like a Dark Cupid sequel. It feels like a sequel episode. Anyway, then we get the classic version of the villain being the Ladybug or Cat and using their power. She cataclysms as Cat, and then Ladybug Lucky Charms for a shirt, which once again really didn't have any effect other than to clue her in to use the oyster.
But even then, like, it was a T-shirt. They don't use T-shirts to open oysters. They use
it's like a towel, right? Like,
yeah.
It was very
like
weird.
It would have made more sense if she was just like a towel, like.
I guess you did T-shirts, you could make that fashion joke, which wasn't even that good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cataclysms through the Eiffel Tower to get to the seafood bar underneath.
I'm surprised nobody got hurt there.
Yeah, it was very controlled demolition.
The entire Eiffel Tower get destroyed.
Yeah, apparently you can just do one level of it. I was more surprised the Eiffel Tower had a seafood bar, right? Like on the level below.
What surprised me was that she was like, not only was she like turning into looking like them, but she like got Cat Noir's powers. Like she was able to do the cataclysm. Like that's like a pretty big power.
Yeah, it's a good power.
Also, we missed out on a really good like Hawkmoth freak out moment because
you're always thinking of him.
I am. But someone has to, Dylan. Okay.
Oh, we all do. Oh, we all do. Come on.
But no, I have to say that whenever she like kisses Cat and turns into him and he's asleep, like she should have totally taken his miraculous, like, and I'm surprised like they should have had Hawkmoth fight her on that. Like,
yeah, no, Hawkmoth was like, no, take Cat's miraculous. She's like, later, I'm getting Ladybug first. There's a small moment with that. Yeah.
It was too small. I feel like he should have been like, no, go back. Like, what are you doing? Like, you literally have like or Hawkmoth should have just come out of the tower and taken.
There's been a few times recently. Also, when he was like Cat turned into a cat and he was just there and they never take his miraculous. This happened. Yeah, like just take it. This would be a lot easier. You just got that one.
Like we could have had Cat's miraculous so many times.
We really could have. Yeah, it's Ladybug's, which is much harder to get. But I mean, he sacrificed himself. Like, and kudos to him because that was obviously the right move. Because game over if she becomes Ladybug. But yeah.
Yep. Done.
Yep. Fall through the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is an oyster. By the way, I trust that the Eiffel Tower does in fact have a seafood bar on it. Because
sure it has several restaurants.
The show is the foremost Eiffel Tower expert. I think any new like amenity that moves into the Eiffel Tower, the show will reflect it in the following season. Like they're staying up to date on any Eiffel Tower.
We
need an episode that's specifically in the Eiffel Tower, and we're like revisiting
Eiffel Tower bottle episode. Tower bottle episode. Yes. Okay. That feels like the next evolution for the show and its obsession with the Eiffel Tower. Okay. Then they fall down to the seafood bar. She has her kiss the oyster, and then she turns into the oyster. That was an interesting solution to the problem. That felt new. Like we hadn't really done that before.
But how did she know that it was going to work?
Yeah, why does it work for animals? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Lila could have just, like, kissed and turned into a truck and then bulldozed everybody.
Yeah, why isn't like... That's true. Lila should have thought of this and done. If she can just become animals, maybe she can become inanimate objects and like take their
Yeah.
Make it bigger,
point.
like think bigger, Lila.
Yeah, she should have done that. Yeah,
Too small scale.
Marinette says we should be friends, not anemones.
Okay.
Weird pun. Is this? This is one of the ones where I'm like, what is this in French? Because
I want to know. Is it anemones?
Anemones and for like, okay.
Are oysters anemones?
I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's a related word. I don't know. Breaks
Oh,
open
seafood. Got it.
Yeah, breaks open the oyster and cracks the pearl. Yeah, then yeah. Anyway, and then Miraculous Ladybug. Here's my we haven't talked about my favorite moment of the episode yet. We're finally here. We're finally here. Miraculous Ladybug. Everything's going back to normal. The first thing we see is Alia consoling Nino. Don't worry, you look good even without your cap. And then Miraculous Ladybug, his cap is back and he's ecstatic. That was the biggest laugh for me in the episode was don't worry, you look good even without your cap.
So you're shipping it
without
now?
the cap too.
It was not about shipping it. It's like Nino's so ridiculous that he's just devastated that his cap is on. And he's worried that he doesn't look good. That's just what's been happening. He's just been sulking the entire time.
That's what he's sulking about either. It's not so much like, my best friend stole my cap. It's,
are you worried about Adrian? No.
And not even that my best friend said a whole bunch of horrible things to me.
Right.
They're like, whatever, yeah. His cap is good. Don't worry, you look good even without your cap. That just shows how stupid Nino is as a character. Like, it might be the best Nino moment ever, I feel like. Like, that's really good.
That's like the best Alia and Nino moment.
Yeah,
Like,
I think so. I think so. Lila's back. She turns from the I was worried, like, is Lila dead? She's an oyster now.
She's just an oyster forever.
But no, she's back to life from the Miraculous Ladybug. Promises Ladybug no more lying, and Hawkmoth says Lila will serve his purposes well in the end, one way or another. We'll see if that's a thing. Maybe Lila's the new Mayra or something.
he gives Lila so he can kill her. Perfect.
He doesn't want to kill Lila. He number one Akuma target.
Number one Akuma.
Yeah, sorry. We discussed these scenes. Adrian and Marinette, like on the steps, like, don't expose Lila. So this is an interesting line. Adrian says, making a bad guy suffer has never made them turn into a good guy.
That's true.
It's a political statement. I think, like, this is an anti retribution, criminal justice system statement from Adrian here. Like, this is deep and progressive, what he's saying. I agree, Adrian. Wow. I'm standing this, socially progressive Adrian. I think the show should do more of this. Like,
Make bold, progressive statements.
Yeah, I want to see what this is in French too. But that stood out to me a lot. He says, "As long as you and I both know the truth, does it really matter?" Wow, he like, this is deep, and this is like big for Marinette and Adrian. He referred to them as a unit, right?
Yes.
Like, that's the big thing. Like, you and I, who cares if it's other than you
It's
and me?
us
who
against
cares?
the world.
Yeah,
Marinette.
exactly. Yeah.
Me and you can be like Chat and Ladybug, except we really are.
They're gonna
Chat
say
and
that.
Ladybug.
They're gonna say that. At
Oh
some
my
point.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a big like schema shift. I think on Adrian's part. Like, he's never like seen him and Marinette as a thing. Like, even if it's not a romantic thing, like, just seeing them as a unit is important.
This is them as a unit.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm against Villa.
Yes, I love that so much.
Anti-Lila squad. That's how they get together. Is the anti-Lila club. Yeah.
They bond over their hatred of Lila. Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Adrian doesn't hate Lila. He doesn't hate anyone. But
that's true. He's perfect.
Too pure. Yeah. Okay. Then the scene of Adrian smiling at Marinette in the back of the room. Good for you for taking the high road. I guess the non-romantic interpretation is he's just happy she, chilled out and didn't. Good for you.
She's
for taking
on
the
his
high road.
side. That was her taking a stance and being on his side against Lila.
Yep. They're against Lila now. Lila's hearing is magically fixed, and everyone goes to sit back to where they were. As ridiculous as it was that she said her hearing was fixed, I buy the explanation. Oh, it's because of Ladybug.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, she just miraculous Ladybug did.
Yeah, like why can't Miraculous Ladybug fix Lila's hearing? I buy it.
Okay,
I think that was smart.
That makes me question, why does a ladybug use her powers to cure more people?
Well, it doesn't really work like that. That she's lying, but maybe you can game the Miraculous Ladybug powers and like put people in situations that like you're fixing one thing, but it ends up fixing more than just the one thing that happened in the past 5 minutes, and it ends up solving.
She focuses really hard. She's like, okay, whenever I throw this up and yell "Miraculous Ladybug," I also want it to fix Lila's hearing.
Why can't she just? Why can't she just do that anytime? Like, why can't she just? I guess
concentrates hard enough.
I guess it's triggered by the Lucky Charm thing, but like. It doesn't seem that specific. Like, just say Miraculous Ladybug. Anyway, okay. Unleash the Magic Ladybugs. Remember?
Yeah,
so,
Magic Ladybugs.
Yeah, the Magic Ladybugs. That was another vital part.
Hat back.
When I remember season 2, I'm going to remember Mayor Lamp. I'm going to remember the Magic Ladybugs. I'm going to remember Space Dumpsters. These are the most important things about season 2. Okay. That might be my top 3, honestly.
Is that your season 2 retrospective?
Yeah, those top ridiculous moments. Those are...
What about Reverser, the entire episode?
Yeah, Space Monsters.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And the rhyming.
Everyone goes, the rhyming.
Rhyming.
I'll look back on it, but not fondly.
And Luca, how could you forget Luca?
Oh yeah, obviously.
No!
Luca. Where are Luca and Kagami in this episode? Anyway, and then it's like all about Marin. They're in a different class, but like
I'm just playing my guitar.
I can't deal with the negativity of Lila. I'm just positive vibes over here. No. Okay. And then Lila declares war on Marinette. Yeah, we'll see about that, Lila. So there you go. That's it for Chameleon. April, what are your final thoughts here?
It's a great episode. Doesn't work as like a season opener, but still enjoyable for all of its goofy moments and great Marinette character development. Also, Marinette and Adrian, so cute. Get a hamster.
Get a hamster. When will it happen? Hamster 2019. That's the new push.
2019.
Yeah. Well, optimistic that season 3 finishes airing in 2019. Anyway, that's probably true, honestly.
It's Sarah,
Sarah, final thoughts on Chameleon.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I started off saying that I thought it was a good opening for season 3, and after you guys talked about it, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it should have been something different. But I was happy with what it was. At the end of the day, it was really fun. We had some great Lila stuff and really awesome Marinette going through her emotional growth journey. I love it. Love, Adrian being there for Marinette and sort of helping pull her back down to earth, being on her side, and her also being on his side. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come in season 3. Who knows when it'll be, but yeah, I'm hyped.
Yes, hype for episode 2. We don't even know what it is. We don't know anything about the season.
We don't know where it is.
We don't know where it's going to air. Probably, I don't know.
We'll get episode 2.
India,
Episode 2 is going to air in Antarctica.
Yep, just for the scientists.
In July.
I thought you brought up good thematic points, though, Sarah, about why this worked as I think thematically, even if the content wasn't what we were maybe looking for, a lot of these themes really drove home.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe looking back, it'll work better too, if depending on where the season goes, because we have no idea. We've heard very, very little about the season.
Also, there's usually an intended break between seasons. And we didn't really get a break either. So
we'll get the break after the premiere, as one does. Yeah.
Obvious,
that's how it works. Okay. Yep. Good stuff with Chameleon here. Let us know what you guys thought of this episode in the YouTube comments or overlyanimated.com. We'll also appreciate any star ratings on our Ladybug iTunes feed. That does help as well. And make sure you've checked out all our previous Ladybug stuff. If it's forever until episode 2, we'll have some sort of in-between content, but I said that about this episode and then it just aired. So
showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah. News. The second half of season 2 will be on Netflix in the US on December 14th. So if you have, everyone listening to this has seen it already, but if you have friends who are waiting for that.
Spoilers Discord.
Yeah. Nope. Sarah or April, the episode is the season 3 premiere has aired. It will it's
gonna live on forever.
We're gonna be in spoilers forever. Yeah,
we'll never be like appropriately aligned with Netflix. That's just not how the show works.
It's not happening. Speaking of the Discord, overlyanimated.com/discord to talk about Ladybug. Support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, John A.K. Garfield, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Hugh. Check out other podcasts at overlyanimated.com, including weekly Ruby coverage we've had. We just had movie reviews of Wreck-It Ralph 2 and Mirai. We're going to get some other stuff coming up here. There's also like She-Ra coverage, I think, in between the last Ladybug and this one. And we're going to get a big month with December, Steven Universe, Voltron, a bunch of other stuff happening.
Maybe more Ladybug.
Maybe more Ladybug.
I would be shocked, but who knows? Also, our year-end awards, the OVAs, potentially the next Ladybug thing in your feed might be the OVAs and nominations announcement. That's going to be throughout December. We have internal nominations. Ladybug has a shot at a few nominations here, so if you want to help out, you could become a patron, and then and you can nominate. So to find all the details of that at patreon.com/overlyanimated. I think the post will be locked until you do that. But yeah, and Marinette, we're pushing Marinette for best character, Hawkmoth for supporting character. Obviously, we stand Hawkmoth. He needs to be best supporting character, and then we'll see. Maybe an episode. Maybe could it have a show?
For it.
Could it have a shot at best show? But more this year than last year. It might.
Yeah,
might have a shot at a nomination. So, but yeah, find all that at Patreon. We talk about it on our Discord as well. And we'll see you guys for whenever the next Ladybug stuff is. Thanks for listening, and see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.